Here's the reality about something like the Apple iCar. It's one of the most talked about cars that technically doesn't exist yet. Depending on which supply chain leak or analyst note you believe, Apple's automotive ambitions have gone from wildly futuristic to surprisingly grounded. Early ideas imagined a steering wheel-less pod with full autonomy. More recent reports suggest something far more conventional. A premium EV with advanced driver assistance instead of sci-fi self-driving capability. And timelines? They've slipped more than once. Some insiders say late decade is more realistic. Car scoops. Money control. So imagining a 2027 iCar means picturing not a revolution overnight, but Apple's first careful step into a brutally difficult industry. And honestly, that makes it more interesting. What strikes me most about the idea of an Apple car isn't the battery tech or the autonomy. It's the philosophy. Apple has never been first to a category. It waits, studies, then enters with a version that feels less like a gadget and more like a finished ecosystem. If the iCar arrives in 2027, it probably won't try to out-Tesla on acceleration or out-Lucid on range. Instead, it'll likely try to make the car feel inevitable. Picture stepping into a vehicle that doesn't overwhelm you with screens for the sake of looking futuristic. Apple's strength has always been restraint, removing buttons instead of adding them, simplifying workflows instead of layering menus. In car terms, that could mean an interface that feels less like operating software and more like using a space you already understand. The cabin, I suspect, would be the headline, not because of luxury in the traditional sense, but because of coherence. Materials would matter, lighting would matter, sound would matter. Apple doesn't build experiences around horsepower, it builds them around mood. And that leads to what might be the iCar's strongest point, seamless ecosystem integration. If Apple executes the way it usually does, this car won't feel like a standalone machine. It'll feel like a physical extension of your digital life. Your routes, calendar, climate preferences, media, all syncing invisibly. Not as a gimmick, but as a baseline expectation. That's powerful, because right now, even the best EVs still feel like tech layered onto a vehicle. Apple's opportunity is to reverse that, making the tech feel native to the experience of mobility. But there's a flip side, and it's a big one. Apple has never built a car before. Unlike smartphones, cars aren't upgraded every 2 years, they're expected to survive potholes, weather, regulations, and real-world chaos for a decade or more. Manufacturing scale, supply chains, safety validation, these are brutal realities. Even legacy automakers struggle to transition smoothly into EVs. That's the iCar's likely weak point, execution risk. Designing a beautiful EV is one thing. Producing millions of them reliably is something else entirely. Even Apple's massive resources don't eliminate the learning curve, and historically, automotive development takes years longer than consumer electronics. Edmunds. Then there's autonomy. Earlier visions aimed for near self-driving capability. Now the expectation is something closer to advanced driver assistance. Hands-on, eyes-forward systems similar to what's already on the road. Car scoops. That might disappoint those expecting a sci-fi leap, but from a market perspective, it's probably wise. The EV landscape is littered with overpromised autonomy timelines. The most unexpected detail about the iCar isn't what it might include, it's what it might intentionally avoid. Apple tends to skip spec wars. Where others chase range numbers or Nürburgring times, Apple may lean into refinement instead, ultra-quiet ride quality, intelligent energy use, minimal driver fatigue. Think less about peak performance and more about everyday elegance. And in today's EV market, that could actually stand out. Because right now, the industry is entering a maturity phase. The novelty of electric acceleration is fading. Buyers are starting to care about usability, charging convenience, software stability, long-term reliability. If Apple enters in 2027, it won't be entering a pioneering space. It'll be entering a crowded, skeptical one. That means the iCar doesn't need to be revolutionary. It just needs to feel complete. And if there's one thing Apple has historically been very good at, it's knowing when to turn complexity into calm.